Welcome to this masterclass on cracking the LAM fellowship, tips, tricks, and insights. Overview of the topics we are going to cover today. Number one, what the LAM fellowship is about. So we will cover number one, the details about the LAM fellowship, what makes the LAM fellowship unique, the work, the learning opportunities, the exit opportunities, and three stages of the selection process which we have. And this is widely available on internet. So this is not something which makes this session premier. What makes this session premium is this, how to optimize your chances of selection. So we will have a detailed discussion on number one, how to prepare a SOP and a policy brief. So here number one part is format for SOP and things to keep in mind. Number two, choosing the right topic for policy brief. What criteria should you consider while doing that? Number three, what should be the format for policy brief, the resources and things not to do. And finally, the online evaluation test, which is the second stage of the selection process. So what are the scope and broad expectations out of it? Then we will have a detailed discussion on interview preparation, where we will discuss number one, the North Star competencies for interview. And then the very important part, the behavioral kind of questions, the profile based kind of questions, the policy brief which you submitted, those kind of questions, and everything else which finally encompasses this interview preparation space. A bit about the LAM fellowship. So LAM fellowship is the legislative assistant to members of parliament. So it is an opportunity to learn lawmaking and public policy from the closest quarters of the government. So here LAM fellows are mentored by the MPs and work full time with the assigned MP during a given year, starting from the monsoon session of parliament. So starting from June till the end of the budget session. So here the keyword is you work full time. So some of you had questions, can I do one more full-time job along with it? Can I do another part-time job along with it? Largely no, unless there is flexibility in terms of some other part-time or let's say project or something which you are doing. If it demands a specific commitment, that is very difficult to manage along with your work as a LAM fellow. Eligibility criteria. Number one. Okay. So number one, you should be a bachelor's. So bachelor's in any discipline. Here, diversity is preferred. So they have explicitly mentioned it on their website. No special preference for master's candidate. Even if you have done master's, great, but no specific preference. So in a sense, the bachelors who feel that they are not getting enough opportunities, that this is one opportunity for you where you are not at a disadvantage because you do not have a master's degree. Second, the bachelor's degree exam should be finished before the fellowship begins. So the fellowship begins in June. So your exam should be finished before that. You will not be granted any specific leaves for the examinations. Third, you should be an Indian citizen with less than 25 years of age. So your date of birth, DOB, should be on or after June 1st, 1999. Very, very important. Okay. So even if you are not eligible, just be in the session, you will gain immensely out of it. And it's completely all right. There are a lot of other fellowship opportunities also. As an example, there is CRISP, which is currently open. Then there is STEPP, which is an opportunity to work with the MP Fawzia Khan, who is a member of Rajya Sabha. And another, there is something called as INLEX fellowship. And then there are a lot of other fellowships like Teach for India and a lot of this. And then there are a lot of full-time opportunities also. So don't get disheartened. They do not demand any work experience. This demands 2 years of experience. We keep on sharing all these opportunities on all our social media handles. So do follow us there and keep on checking all this information. All right. Now, no work experience is not essential. If you have a work experience, you will certainly have an advantage compared to the other candidates. The compensation is around 23,000 rupees per month, not around this specific. The duration is 10 to 11 months from the middle of June. Which MP will you be working with? So you will be working, you can be, any MP can be assigned to you. It can be from the treasury, from the opposition, from any major political party, from any house of parliament. It is not just Lok Sabha, but also Rajya Sabha. And the allocation will be done on a random basis. So you will not be asked for any preference on all those stuff around it. Location will be in New Delhi. So it will not involve a lot of traveling. It might involve some amount of traveling, very little amount of traveling, because you will have to take specific approvals for that. And obviously, if your MP want you to travel to their constituency, then you will get such kind of opportunities. The application deadline for the first round is 21st of December 2024. We will discuss everything in detail. Just be with. All right. So what makes the LAMP fellowship unique? You might have from this, you might have got an idea that nothing seems very lucrative about it. Is the stipend is just 23,000 rupees. It is also just for a 10 to 11 month opportunity. So why so much buzz? Why are we even doing this specific masterclass only for this fellowship and not for any other fellowship? Because there is a lot of substance beyond these numbers in this. What is that? Number one, the work involved. What makes the LAMP fellowship unique is the work involved. Number one, here, two parts. When Parliament is in session and Parliament is not in session. When it is in session, you will get an opportunity to do some research support, to provide some research support to MP, which includes mainly parliamentary role related. Let's say input some for some bills, parliamentary questions which they may ask or they may answer some of the questions asked in the Parliament, policy discussions, standing committee meetings, and private members bill. So whether you work with the leader, with the MP in the power or in the opposition, you have your own, there are silver linings everywhere. So if you are working with an opposition MP, you may get an opportunity to work on a private members bill, and which is, say, one of the best opportunity an average LAMP fellow can have. A great opportunity. And then you will get an opportunity to do some constituency related works, including some visits to the constituency. And this is more prominent more when you are working with a Lok Sabha related MP. So let's say in Rajya Sabha, their work is more inclined towards legislature, but in the Lok Sabha MP, it is more inclined towards constituency. So you may get these chances when you are working with them. You have your own perks whether you are working with Rajya Sabha MP or Lok Sabha MP, because the kind of exposure which this Rajya Sabha with which legislature exposure will provide by while working with the Rajya Sabha MP is uncomparable compared. Then, some media related works, including, let's say, drafting press releases, preparing interventions for TV appearances, etc. When Parliament is not in session, then number one, research for standing committee meeting, because standing committee work around the year. Then maybe preparation for the next parliamentary sessions. Then a lot of workshops are conducted by PRS. These are, let's say, training / upskilling workshop for you. So you'll get an opportunity to become part of all those workshops, and unique work based on the demands of MP and the constituency. It can also involve constituency. So all in all, the work is very diverse and no 2 days are the same. That makes this fellowship unique. Second part of its uniqueness is the learning opportunities and the other benefits. So some specific workshops and trainings are conducted. Initially, when you join in June, there is an initial training of 1 month where you are familiarized with the basics of Indian Constitution, economics, parliamentary procedures, information sources, research tools, etc. There are also intermittent training during the course of fellowship. So it can be on health, finance, budget, foreign affairs, and a lot more. Second part, which makes this unique, is the peer learning and the alumni network. So here, the peer group is very diverse, people coming from very diverse educational backgrounds, regional backgrounds, sectoral backgrounds, and driven cohort working on diverse areas. Even as LAMP fellows, you work on very different kind of projects. So the learning is immense. Alongside the alumni network, which the LAMP provides, is very powerful. LAMPs, as I always say, LAMP fellows are almost everywhere in public policy. In the past, before a couple of days, I also shared a post on LinkedIn from our Rebounce LinkedIn page where I shared about some of the LAMP fellows doing exceptional work at various positions. You have, Congress National Secretary Communications as a LAMP fellow. You have a lot of founders. You have, people running their own firms, people working with BCG, McKinsey, Bain, multilateral organizations like World Bank, people who did their masters from Oxford. So, very diverse people who did their masters from IIM Ahmedabad, who are part of TES, civil servants. So, very diverse cohort. So, if you want to make your career in public policy, certainly it is, it is a great asset for you. Apart from this, even if you, let's say, are looking for some referrals and all those stuffs in the market, that LAMP fellowship tech can certainly and undoubtedly help you. All right. Then the potential to create scalable impact. Obviously, this speech you write can grab national attention and even turn into policy actionable. And you also have the access to MP and all things FP, which includes, let's say, access to other MPs, various research organizations, private events involved in policy discussions, and a lot more. So ultimately, it can help you. This LAMP fellowship it can provide you an opportunity to find an answer about whether public policy space is for you or not. If yes, how passionately, and maybe which pillar of public policy. So you can get a lot of clarity about your further career. Finally, the third part which makes it unique is the exit opportunities. So you can have careers in public policy, the leading offices of MPs, ministers, and political parties. So when you will join as a LAMP fellow, you may find your senior LAMP fellows, the previous LAMP fellows, may be leading the offices of those MPs. When I was working political consulting, so after concluding the recent Lok Sabha elections, I got offers from two MPs to lead their offices. So they had big offices, they had their own teams, and when you are able to build good buy-in with the MPs, with the ministers you work in, you get all these opportunities. And they are also great opportunities, undoubtedly. Since my focus was on building Rebounce, I decided not to take them. But a lot of candidates, a lot of people prefer to take them, or have the urge to get these kind of opportunities. Second is working in public policy organizations and research, advocacy, formulation, implementation, opportunities in multilateral institutions, impact consulting and public policy consulting roles, like with organizations like Samagra, PwC. You'll find a lot of your alumni working at all these places. Political consulting, again, one of the very lucrative careers. So it can be, you can get an opportunity to work as a political consultant with an individual legislature, with an individual legislator, say leading their offices, their complete offices, working with political parties or even political consulting. Advanced degrees, Harvard, Oxford, LSE, IIMs, ISB, they are everywhere, and other careers like civil services, working in startups, social entrepreneurship, and a lot more. So in that sense, it is provides huge opportunity, immense opportunity for you to build your career in very diverse areas, and that is why we are talking about LAMP fellowship. And that is why for those 50 seats of LAMP fellowship, usually 50 or around 50, 5,000 or over 5,000 candidates apply. That's why here the competition is also in a sense immense. The selection rate is around 1%, which is same as UPSC prelim selection rate. Now talking about the selection process, there are three stages in the selection process. Number one is the preliminary screening, where you have to, apart from providing all the, you have to fill a detailed form talking about all your experiences, but you have to finally write 2 essays of 500 words to justify your candidature and a policy related essay. Second, then you have an online evaluation test. So this is on 21st, deadline is 21st December. Deadline for online evaluation test is 5th Jan. So from 2 weeks from now, this 2 weeks from then this, maybe 2 to 3, 4 weeks from then, you will have this personal interview. Now this is an open book test. We will discuss the details of everything in detail. So just be preliminary screening. Here there are two parts. Apart from filling a detailed form of talking about your internships and everything else, you have to submit 2 essays of 500 words each. One is in 500 words, please justify your candidature. This should include how the LAMP fellowship fits your career goals or prospects, and why would you be a good candidate. So basically 2 parts. Number one, why you want to be a part of LAMP fellowship, why you want it, and number 2 is why should they select you. Why you are selecting LAMP and why should LAMP select. Format for SOP is the introduction. Here it is the 500 word SOP. So when you have such a limited word limit, Pawan, we will have a detailed question and answer round in the end. So you can lower your hand in the meantime, unless you have any specific issues. All right. So since the word limit is just 500 words, you have to be very, very prudent with the words. Here, the format. Now, all these are very subjective things. There is no clear-cut format. No, there is no objective standardization to all these things. We have just tried to create one so that it can fit for 80%, 90% of you who are, who find it a little difficult to think about how to start or how to create that very compelling SOP for this. So, and feel free to incorporate all your inputs which you have in this. There is no rigid, thick line between what we are talking about and what you should be. All right. Now here you can have 4 parts. Number one is the introduction. Introduction starts with a strong hook. You can give around 50 to 60 words to this. Then alignment with your career goals. So basically why you want to be a part of this fellowship. So you can have around 150 to 200 words. That is the meat of this SOP. Then why you are a good fit. So basically, why should they select you? What you bring to the table? You can again give around 100, 150 to 200 words to this, and finally you will have a conclusion of around 50 to 70. Here, when you start, give a compelling opening statement that captures your motivation for applying to the LEM fellowship. Whenever you apply to all these opportunities, you have to write these kind of essays. Always think about what are they looking for. They are looking for your enthusiasm for the role, number one, with the LAM and with the overall public policy space in general. So showcase that enthusiasm and motivation for this. Especially when you talk about public policy, everything in public policy can be learned apart from, let's say, motivation or enthusiasm. So if you should be very, very motivated towards this field, and that is very important criteria even while selecting a candidate for these kind of domains. So an opening statement should be very compelling, talking about your motivation, then alignment with your career goals. So finally, in this, you should prove why LAMP is a natural choice for you. So you have to talk about all your experiences in a manner that they finally narrow down to this LAMP fellowship. Everything should connect in a manner. It should be a story. At the end of the day, it's the story which sells in the market and not the facts. So do not make something which is substitute of your resume. Everything should finally connect and narrow down to the LEM fellowship, that okay, this is the solution for everything which I want in my life. Here you can talk about, number one is, let's say, why it fits well, so your journey so far. Then when you will do the LEM fellowship, what you will gain out of it. So highlight the skills, the knowledge and exposure you hope to gain through the fellowship. Also the exposure in terms of the possibility to create impact out of this fellowship. So basically your past till now, how it aligns with that. They present how that will be useful for your future, and then explain how the fellowship fits well into your long-term career aspiration. So break it down into 3 parts, 50 words each maybe. Past, present, fellowship, and future. So this should be your strategy. Then why you are a great fit for this role. Actions taken in the past, which again aligns with the fellowship. So ultimately, the story which you will talk about, this story will by itself justify 50-60% of the task. Here, you have to showcase your passion towards public policy, demonstrated through either past projects you did, some volunteership which you did, or your educational background in all those studies. Highlight skills, experiences, and traits that make you a strong candidate for this specific role. Mention relevant academic qualifications, work experience, or extracurricular involvement. Now, if you are a fresher, you may not have a lot of work experience. You can certainly talk a lot about your extracurricular, involvement. Even if you are an ex-UPSC aspirant without any exposure of the corporate world or have any work experience, then also talk about everything else which you have. Talk about your UPSC journey in a very compelling manner, about what is that unique about civil services journey which makes you fit for this. Focus on your analytical, research, writing, and interpersonal skills, which are crucial for the fellowship. Understand what are they looking for. Apart from your motivation, they are also looking for your ability to comprehend your thoughts well, that clarity of thought they are looking for. So ensure that you are able to showcase all those things via this application. Finally, conclude 50 to 70 words, reiterate your enthusiasm for the fellowship, and also your commitment to make meaningful contribution. This is how you should ideally go about for an SOP. Here, few things to be kept in mind. Number one, story sells in the market. Ensure that your story is very coherent, very compelling, so that they are, number one, motivated to read your story and then impressed by it to finally shortlist your application. Give a personal touch instead of just making it a substitute of resume. If they were demanding a resume, they would have directly asked for resume. They have decided not to. They are asking this SOP for a reason. Ensure that you comply with that. Second is show, don't tell. This is an important rule, even in consulting, that don't tell me that you are a leader. Don't tell me that you are motivated towards public policy. Prove. Tell me the claims. So tell me the specific examples about how you were so motivated about creating the impact, that you were part of that club which helped provide better education to kids from the slums. So that tells your intention to create impact, instead of the talks only does not cook rice. Okay. Third is show your genuine enthusiasm, which means show your genuine passion and enthusiasm for the role while being very honest and authentic. This is the most important part. Be genuine. Do not just try to build a strong story. That alone does not help, because during interviews your whole interview will revolve around the essays, two essays which you will write. So 60, 70, 80% of the interview will revolve around that. So it's important that you should be genuine. Even if you are not very crystal clear about why you want to be a part of this fellowship, maybe the reason is you like diversity and you embrace diversity in life, and this fellowship will provide you an opportunity to further deepen your understanding of various diverse issues. Then talk about it in that manner and talk about it that why only LEM fellowship for achieving that diversity. You don't need to cook anything ki bhai, even if your goal is something else, but I have to cook my story only around public policy. That is not what they are looking for. They embrace diversity. Then use keywords and phrases strategically, which means, let's say, incorporate terms like legislative process, policy making, research, governance, impact, public service to show alignment with the LAM fellowship's objectives. You can also, search the LAM fellowship website. You'll find a lot of masala about all these stuff. Then proofread. Ensure there are no grammatical mistakes. It is grammatically accurate and there is clarity of thought. Focus on clarity and simplicity. Simplicity is very important. Avoid, jargons. You don't need to showcase that you have a great lexicon there. There are better avenues to do that. Writing an essay is not. Then, smooth liquid flow. Use transitions, a transition word to maintain flow, but ensure that there is smooth liquid flow in your between your paragraphs and within your paragraph. And no over chat gpt, please. If you'll just write SOP using chat gpt, just by reading, but just by glancing at it, I can easily tell whether it is by chat gpt or not. Use chat gpt as your slave, not as your master. Use chat gpt to take various inputs, but do not use chat gpt or directly ask chat gpt ki bana do bhai essay, and obviously it will provide you an essay, but you may not get selected. Stay relevant. Very important. Stick to experiences, skills, and goals which are directly related to LAMP fellowship. Stay relevant. Do not tell about something very, very irrelevant. Let's say you are great at dance. That's all right. But if that is not relevant for me, then do not overemphasize on it, at least, even if you are talking about it. Or at least showcase how both the things are interrelated to each other. Maybe your leadership skills, maybe your people management, whatever it is, or let's say your understanding of cultural aspect. It can be anything. At the end of the day, it's the stories we sell in the market, but build that story. Do not leave that hanging gap in your essays. Then second part, preparing the writer. So here, write an essay analyzing any issue and the related policy implications. Here, general things to keep in mind while preparing a writing sample. Broadly, when you write an essay of this sort, understand what they are looking for. And once you have clarity on what they are targeting, then you can make a laser sharp focus to ensure that you at least tackle those specific objectives. And that helps in, that optimizes your chances of selection multiple times. What are those things which they are looking for? Number one, clarity of thought. So organize your thoughts clearly, structure your writing logically with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Second is your analytical skills. So use data, evidence, and examples to support your arguments and insights. Ensure that it is not just an opinion based personal where you are bringing a lot of personal biases. It should be in a manner where everything is backed by something. It can be backed by data, evidence, examples, case studies, international examples, comparison of Indian uh, data versus, let's say, global sphere. What are the standards there? It can be anything, but it should be backed by something. It can be not necessarily quantitative data. It can be qualitative analysis, anything, but it should be backed by something. It should not be just an opinion based doc. Third is maintain smooth flow. So ensure that the ideas and sections they transition naturally for easy readability. Show your critical thinking. So analyze the topic in depth and present thoughtful conclusions and solutions. Now here it is important that you, number one, choose the right topic, which we will discuss as we go ahead. And whatever topic you are choosing, the idea is not to make it complete. When you try to make it complete, maybe you will try to introduce all the dimensions, and you cannot afford to do that. Make it comprehensive. Comprehensive means you will talk about maybe 4 dimensions, but you will discuss them in proper depth so that at least something specific is coming out. We will discuss it as we go ahead. Fifth is keep it simple and concise. So, prioritize clarity and avoid unnecessary complexity for effective communication. So do not use all those jargons, technical words, buzzwords. All that is not needed. Keep it simple. Keep paragraph short with one idea per paragraph. Very important. When you have, let's say, 500-word write-up, ideally it's like 40 to 50 words into 10 to 12 paragraphs. Okay, and in one paragraph, one idea per paragraph. That is very important. Do not just put in a lot of stuff so that it itself is not making any sense. That does not help. Keep it simple. One idea per paragraph. There should be a smooth flow in your writing. Now, choosing the topic. First part is choosing the topic, and the second part is what should be the format and how to finally write it. Now, when you talk about choosing the topic, there are normally 6 criteria. Number one, you should have a domain expertise in that, because as we discussed later, your interview will revolve mostly around both the essays which you have written, the SOP and this topic. So ensure that you have a very good understanding. You are also passionate about that specific area, that topic, the domain. So reflect your understanding and enthusiasm for the issue. And when you write up, if you are really enthusiastic and about something, that will also reflect. So maybe if you are, let's say, from engineering background, you are from computer science or IT, you can talk about data protection. You are somebody from environmental sciences, maybe you can talk about something like Forest Conservation Act, or maybe you can talk about energy issues like Mines and Minerals Act. If we will discuss all these things in broader detail. Let's say if you are from legal background, maybe you can discuss competition law. So talk something where you hold your expertise, which is your area of understanding, which you understand really well. Second is relevance. So relevant debatable topics with the possibility of legislation in upcoming times. So do not choose any archaic topic. The more relevant it is, the more interested they'll be to read your topic or essay. Third is government initiatives alignment. So it should be aligned with the policies or ongoing issues with the government policy programs. Fourth is analytical potential. There should be a potential to showcase your analytical skills. So topics that allow for analysis and formulation of evidence-based conclusions. Very, very important. There can be some topics where there is little scope, or at least you find it little difficult to do that. Don't choose those kind of topics. Then fifth, be specific, choose specific over general topics. So let's say general topic can be energy. Specific is, let's say, discoms or Uday scheme. Or let's say this can be, general can be unemployment. Specific can be MG Narega. General can be hunger and poverty. Specific can be National Food Security Act. So choose those specific topic. It can be number one, act, bill, or policy. So policy, scheme, issue. So there is a very broad ambit of all these things. The bill which is passed becomes an act, and policy largely cover everything. It covers bills, act, regulations, specific schemes, etc. And issue is very broad, so it can be any issue. Unemployment is an issue, as an example, and MG Narega will come somewhere here, and then you can take up with MG Narega Act also. So this, and topics with limited scope. It is also important that since you have to cover it in 500 words, you should be able to finally comprehensively convey your thoughts in 500 words. That should be your criteria, number one. Number two is what resources to follow. You can go through some of these resources I have shared here. Maybe you can go through the PRS website. So there they have acts, they have bills, the pending bills, and policy briefs. Now pending bills are also an important area, maybe where you can try your hands, because that bill is anyway pending. So you can put across your thoughts on that bill, and there is also a possibility that maybe this in this session or in the upcoming session that is presented. So that is a relevant area. Or the policy briefs, you can go through them. You have all this on their website. Newspaper, ongoing debates and issues which are there, or the other government websites. So let's say you can go through Niti Aayog or websites of various ministries. Let's say you come from environmental domain, you can go to Ministry of Environment website, and you will find a lot of relevant material there. From there, you may find, maybe you want to write something on Forest Rights Act or Forest Conservation Act or anything. Now, some examples I have provided: acts, bills, policies, schemes. Say you are from tech background, maybe digital payment and data protection. Environment, maybe FCA, maybe Mines and Minerals Act. Maybe legal or constitutional background, you may pick something like simultaneous elections, electoral bonds, and a lot others. So all these hot topics. In health, maybe something like Ayush Mission, National Food Security Act, very, very important. Miscellaneous, you can pick topics like the recent scheme of the government, PF internship scheme, Disaster Management Bill 2024, and the others. So these are just few examples. You can choose your topic based on your area of interest, based on your expertise. You can certainly be cognizant of all these factors while choosing. All right. Second part, which is now once we have decided the topic, how to write. Again, since we have 500 words limit, be very prudent. What you can do is maybe you can write 700, 800, 1000 word write up and later decide to comprehend it and put it in 500 words. So whatever you are comfortable in, or if you are already comfortable in directly putting it in 500 words, that is completely all right. So you can choose based on your own convenience, based on your style of working, style of writing. Broadly, the format can be, here I have divided it into two parts. Number one is, let's say, format when you are choosing a policy, act, or a bill. The other is, let's say, when you are choosing an issue related topic. In this kind of topic, policy, act, or bill, number one is the introduction. So you can have 1 to 2 paragraphs in it. Then there will be a main body, which is the meat of this overall essay, where we will spend around 5 to 7 paragraphs. And finally, there will be a conclusion, where we will spend around 3 to 4 paragraphs. So example of these policies can be, policies act bill can be, let's say, NFSA, or let's say Forest Conservation Act, Data Protection Act, Udaya again scheme related to discoms, and Narega, etc. Here, let's say when you will talk about, normally when you write policy briefs, you also include something called as executive summary. Some of you who read about all these stuffs a lot, you might have observed this. This is the summary of the overall write-up, but since our write-up is very small, 500 words, we cannot afford to write it. So let's not write it. Let's directly start with the introduction. In introduction, we will give around 1 to 2 paragraphs. Since it is some policy act or bill, we can talk about the overall context of the bill, from where it is originating, what was the overall scenarios when it originated, the current status of it, the journey so far about this, the importance of the issue, why are we discussing it right now, why it is so important. Maybe because you can talk about the demographic dividend, the population, the unemployment. So all those issues, maybe when you talk about renewable energies, why it is so important to talk about this particular issue at this time. When you present a bill, obviously you can always present the bill maybe 5 years down the line also. Why now? So you create that urgency via this, so that I'm more interested to read about your write-up. Then, since it is some bill, act, or policy, you discuss about the key features of this act. Then comes the major substance, which where you showcase your critical thinking and analytical thinking. Let's say there is an act. Then you talk about what are the various implications from this act. So what are the key features and the issues arising from this act, and you analyze all those issues. So here, maybe you can put 5 to 7 paragraphs. You can talk about one issue in one paragraph, and you can use pestle approach. So pestle is, those who have prepared for civil services know about it: political, economical, social, technological, environmental, legal, then some other, let's say, administrative, constitutional, and ethical. You can bring all those angles. So you can choose 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions out of it, and talk about, analyze this specific act in around those dimensions. Okay. Whenever you are talking about it, ensure that in one paragraph, it is your opinions, your analysis is backed by something. That can be a data, that can be an example, effect, it can be anything, but it is backed by something. It is not just something hanging in the air. Then conclusion, 3 to 4 paragraphs, where you provide the policy recommendation. Recommendation can be, let's say, modification in the current policy, or the new policies associated with it, or the mix of both. So here, use persuasive language. Very important to present your recommendations, but ensure that they are also strongly backed by evidence. You do not bring your personal biases in that. Then you can talk about the implication that, okay, if this is done, so basically you are talking about where we are, what are the problems currently, then what are the solutions to this. If these are achieved, then what will be the implications in the short term and in the long run. Here in the middle, maybe if you have a space, you can also talk about the hurdles or barriers in implementation of it. That should be your format for this. Now, when you talk about the issue related topic, largely it will remain same. So issue related topic can be something like simultaneous elections, data protection, renewable energy, electoral bonds. Largely it will remain same. You will talk about, the issue, what is the journey, what progress has been made in this issue over time, importance of this issue, why now only, prominently affected stakeholders, which is little new here. Now, very important here is the main body. In main body, when you have an issue like electoral bonds or let's say unemployment related issue, then you talk about what are the various causes of it, and you can always do a cause and effect analysis. Then what are the implications of it? Again, the same pastel approach hold here. Here, let's say when you talk about such kind of, you can always talk about the policy actions till now also. Let's say simultaneous elections. You can talk about the policy actions which have been done in this till now and know why they were not, they did not see the light of the day. Then finally, you come up with the conclusion. The conclusion is the policy recommendation, modification, the current policies or the new policies. Use persuasive language. Here, it is important that in both the write-ups, that keep recommendations short. Do not overwhelm the reader with a long list of recommendations. Ensure that they are persuasive, they are backed by evidence, but do not just try to put in a lot of recommendations hanging in the air. That does not help. The implications, as we were discussing, short term and long term. Hope everything is clear till now. Okay, I am assuming that everything is clear. Now, a lot of candidates, a lot of you reached out to us for providing various support related to the LEM fellowship. We will certainly cover the online evaluation and the interview process as we go ahead. Many of you reached out to us here, so that's why we decided to build this PPT and deliver this webinar to you. The idea is to provide you that recipe of how to approach. But whatever we are discussing till now is just 20 to 30%. Our actual game is in how you implement and how well you implement it. Now, to support you all to do that, we at Rebounce have also launched a program. We will discuss about this as we go. Here, some of the resources which you can refer to for this is number one, some sample resources to refer. PRS की website पे आप जा सकते हो. In the Act and Bill section, you will have state legislature brief. This is a very good resource to understand how a policy brief should ideally look like. In the policy section, you can check the discussion papers and committee reports. So all this is very relevant. Then you can go to Niti Aayog website. You have a lot of resources there. You can go to various ministries websites and pick up a lot of resources from there. Resources to refer for fodder content. So this is, let's say this is for format, how the sample doc should ideally look like. Obviously, most of these docs are not of 500 words, they are of 1000, 2000, 5000 words, but you can get an idea of what should be the structure of it. Now, resources for fodder content. So fodder content is like, we were talking about data, fact examples, maybe PRS website, Niti Aayog, ministry website. Now, when you go to any doc, maybe you go through a state legislature brief, then they provide you a table about the status of forest in India. Then maybe they will directly pick a report, which is, let's say, Indian state of forest report. In below this table, they will directly write about the source. So you can pick this source, this information, this data, and mention about this source. So maybe you don't need to directly scrap the data. You can go to the prepared website, prepare reports from these websites and fetch the data. So PRS, Niti Aayog, ministry website, then think tank and non-profits like Observer Research Foundation, CPR, Pratham releases ASAR, annual survey of education report. So if you are doing something in education, very relevant. Census and survey data like National Family Health Survey, PLFS, multilateral policy resources like World Bank reports, UNDP reports, OECD, ILO. If you are doing something on labor, the ILO reports will be very useful. And very important, you can always pick up Supreme Court judgments, Indian Constitution, economic survey, budget. So if you have prepared for civil services, you are already very good with all these stuff. You can certainly pick data from this and all these sources you can refer. I hope everything is clear till now. Now, whatever we were discussing, discuss that. Now, there are a few more things in this. When you write a writing sample, there are a few things which you must not do. One thing very important in this is plagiarism and overquoting, because our education system do a very bad job in this. I am iterating and reiterating. Do not plagiarize. That can directly lead to rejection. What is plagiarism? They do a 6-word check for plagiarism. 6-word check means if you have directly picked six words from there, then your application will be directly rejected. So, that is the level. Obviously, when you can do chat GPT, you can do AI. Obviously, they can also do AI. Do not plagiarize. And whenever you are using any resource, you are putting any data and all that, do properly cite from where are you picking that data, that evidence. So never copy text directly without proper citation. Avoid overquoting also. So your sample should showcase your analysis and voice. So ultimately, it should showcase your thought process. It should not be, let's say, just the collection of 20, 50, 40, 50 facts and putting them together in a write-up. No, that is not the purpose of it. Second is, do not put it as, it should not be vague and uninformed. So use credible sources of data without overloading with data. It should not only look like, just putting 50 data together. No over reliance on opinion also. It should be a very balanced document. And do not let personal biases creep in. So everything should be backed by evidence. Here, stick to the guidelines of 500 words. Avoid being too brief and obviously not at all higher. So align with this 500 word and avoid grammatical and spelling mistakes. Avoid repeating the repetition. Avoid repeating the same point and same idea time and again. And don't divert from the topic. And at the same time, be very succinct and to the point. Because 500 words is a very limited word limit. Ensure that you use it wisely. And complexity, do not let multiple ideas and don't bring multiple ideas in single paragraph, and no excessive jargons or technical terms. Just keep it simple, and that's the best way to go. All right, so we were talking about the support which we are providing at Rebounce. We will discuss that, and then we will come to the interview and the online evaluation section. So many of you reached out to us for, let's say, support handholding for this. We have decided to start something called Is the Lamp Fellowship. Here, we'll provide you complete handholding and support for this LAMP fellowship, and till the last stage of the application. This includes, number one, helping you decide what should be the topic of your policy brief. Number two, unlimited review of your SOPs and the policy brief. Number three, one-on-one session on SOP and policy brief. So you can connect with us in a one-on-one virtual session, and then basically we will review it and provide all the suggestions to you in this session. Then you will go back, implement all those suggestions, and share the doc with us. We will again review and provide our detailed comments in the doc. Then you will implement them, and we help you out for unlimited number of times. Then interview preparation. So that involves, because a lot of questions, as you will see, as we will go ahead in the session, you will find that a lot of questions can be directly gauged based on your essays and based on your profile. And since we have interviewed a lot of candidates, we have supported a lot of candidates, we know all that. So we will support you on that. We'll gauge questions based on your profile and help you coming up with the answers for them. We will also conduct mock interview sessions. We'll also provide additional interview support, which include, let's say, connecting on a virtual call or a short phone call to finally helping you with your queries. And we also provide direct handholding and mentorship by the Rebounce co-founders, which essentially means once you become part of this, we make your WhatsApp group with the Rebounce co-founders, and you can reach out to us via that group at any point of time whenever you need any help from us. And the idea is to help you crack the LAMP fellowship, and we also provide access to the content shared in this webinar to all these candidates, and we also provide access to the curated job listings. Here, obviously, we are a social venture. We are not a money minting machine. So the idea and everything is aligned with that. The idea is to help you all. That's why even the price of it will also be very, very less. It will be just 2,000 rupees. But obviously, it will be, every good thing has a timeline. So it will be valid till tomorrow midnight. So I'll float the form of it after this session in the same WhatsApp group you are, and also email it to you. You can just feel free to enroll for it if you want. Another is, we have at Rebounce also have a market readiness program. I hope many of you are already aware of what the market readiness program is. Under this, we provide complete support and handholding to you for 6 months. So complete support means supporting you on, let's say, which sector are you should look opportunities for. So basically, career guidance sessions, what skills can you develop, then helping you build a bulletproof resume, a cover letter, LinkedIn profile optimization, support you on take-home assignments. So like the kind of essays you have here, we support you on that, and supporting you with for interviews via mock interview and gauging questions based on your profile, and preparing ready-made answers for that. Finally, handholding you, complete handholding and support via the WhatsApp group, and 6 months of support. You can connect with us at any point of time. Any point of time means you can text us and then we can connect. And we also support you on corporate referrals. Very, very important. We have partnered with various firms in the past. We also have a lot of connections in the industry. We at Rebounce have provided a lot of corporate referrals to candidates who got placed in various firms. So this support is for 6 months. And obviously, the LAMP support will be included as part of this. Again, we are a social venture. We are not a money minting machine. The price for this currently is 4,000 rupees. We are having 20% discount right now for the candidate, as a matter of gratitude to all of you to join us, trust us, and join us in this session. We will have 10% additional discount for you. It will cost just 2,800 rupees, and the support is for 6 months for unlimited number of opportunities. So You can take your own call, and if you need any personalized support from us, feel free to check that. And we at Rebounce have supported a lot of candidates, and we'll be glad to support you as well. Many of our candidates got into various opportunities, including Teach for India Fellowship, SBI Youth for India Fellowship, ACT Fellowship, Young Professional Opportunities, and a lot more. Let's say in pet consulting firms like Satva, then Pratham, and a lot of other organizations. So what why are we best placed to help you? There are so many people out there in the market. Why only we? Why should you trust us for this? As we have a combined corporate experience of over 15 years, we have been in managerial positions for 5+ years. We have been regularly hiring people, so we know what the employer typically think. What is that mindset? And we have worked with very prestigious organizations, including, say, my co-founder Akshat brings a decade of experience in public policy. So he worked with PwC, Accenture, HSBC, the Economist Intelligence Unit. I worked as zonal manager in political consulting firm. I worked with ABB also. So, we understand all this, and we have till now personally guided over 200 candidates for public policy, political consulting, and impact consulting. And a lot of our candidates got placed in various firms as well. All right. So we will share the form for this, and the discount is valid till tomorrow midnight. You can feel free to enroll that. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. You can text us on WhatsApp, and we will be glad to help you. So, all right. Now coming to the next part, which is the online evaluation test. If you have any questions about anything about the program, also feel free to ask at the end in the Q&A session. So online evaluation test. Here we have very little information about the online evaluation test. There are a few things which are very crystal clear about it. So let's say broadly the scope and expectations are, it's an open book test. It is not a test of your knowledge, but your ability to utilize existing knowledge and information. Very important. The idea is, let's say tomorrow, if an MP reach out to you and they say ki within 30 minutes write this policy, write this draft, which has to be, maybe I need to speak something before the media, then you should have the ability to do that in 30 minutes or 1 hour, because at that time you will have ChatGPT with you, at that time you will have internet with you, so knowledge or information is available. Your ability to use it well is what is needed. So here, obviously, how to Google, how can you optimize your overall performance in Google for Googling and doing all that. We can certainly help you out with all these things if you decide to become part of our program. And here, ideally, you are expected to, let's say, analyze, articulate, and cite opinions on policy issues and policy briefs like health policy, electricity policy, etc. It's a test of your critical thinking, your analytical thinking, policy writing, clarity of thought. So basically communication, your ability to communicate your thoughts well and analyze them and communicate them. Usually it's like a 2-hour test. The choice is also offered. You have 2 topics, you have to pick one, but there is no clear guidelines about this. So there is a lot of gray areas around this online evaluation test. But if you have good communication skills and you have good analytical skills, you can easily ace through it, provided that you know how to use the available information well. Then, very important part, interviews. Since the selection rate here is just 1%, 50 candidates, maybe out of 5,000, I believe this time maybe 10,000 candidates will apply because of unemployment and a lot of awareness because of social media and all. So the competition is intense. Ensure that you do not leave any stone unturned. Here, when you talk about performing well in the interviews, what are the competencies which are the North Star for the employer? Again, it is very important to know that, to ensure that we tackle all of them in a very leisure sharp focus. Number one, here they are looking for the passion and motivation. As I discussed earlier also, for public policy roles, your passion, motivation, and enthusiasm for the role is very important. Everything else can be learned in a very short span. All right. So here the passion and motivation. Second is the technical skills. So even if you are very passionate about this role, but you do not have the ability to deliver the task, then it is just the talk, and talk alone does not cook rice. So do you have the right skills, the knowledge, and the experience, and most importantly, the confidence to perform the job well? So that is the second part which is tested in the interview. Third is your critical thinking and your problem solving ability. So your ability to obtain, interpret, and use knowledge, fact, data, your ability to demonstrate originality and inventiveness. And then the teamwork, since you'll be working with a team, whether you can build relationships, work in a team structure, negotiate, manage conflict, and professionalism and work. So largely these are the things which are tested in this. How we will discuss. Number one part for that is the behavioral kind of question. So as we discussed in the SOP, you have given two things. One is why you want to become part of it, why and why they should select you. So why you want to become part of it can include number one. So you will have a lot of questions around this, plus some from your personality, which includes number one, your introduction, your strengths, weaknesses, your career aspirations, and how they align well with the LAMP fellowship. So your story so far, basically. So your achievements, your story so far, your setbacks, and alignment with the role. So general behavioral kind of questions. Here, ensure that your story is overall coherent. At the end of the day, it's the story which sells in the market. So build a very coherent story, which finally narrows down to LAMP fellowship. The answers to all these questions is, the short stories. Finally, you have a broader story, and all these are the short stories which are part of this. So stories have to be coherent with each other and in line with the LAMP fellowship. The story should bring out the specific skills and traits of the person which are relevant for the job. Okay. So basically, relevancy is very important and coherence is very important. Then you will have some profile based question. Profile based is, let's say the question was, why should we select you? So you are talking ki I have these skills, I have these achievements, these extracurricular activities, these position of responsibility. So you'll have a lot of questions around those things. Broadly, they will be from the SOP, which you have already submitted. So being thorough with that helps. It can be, let's say, something related to your professional experience if you have already worked somewhere, or maybe you prepared for civil services. So questions around that. It can be the skills which you already, you have mentioned, which you have, the educational qualifications, the achievements and accomplishments. Let's say in extracurricular activities, your performance can be counted here. The projects and certifications which you did in the past, and the positions of responsibility. It can be a very direct question also. Something like, can you walk me through your experience at this in this organization? Or it can be something like, what specific skill or why is that skill relevant for this role? So, or can you describe me about a time when you use this specific skill for this role? Or then it can also be about your motivations to do various things in life. Or let's say, how has that specific education prepared you for this role? So basically, being thorough with whatever you have done till now. So something like you have in your resume, something which you have written in your statement of purpose, or something which you will talk about in your introduction. So being very thorough with that is important. Same is the case with these. If you have done any projects, any volunteership, since if you do not have a lot of experience, you have done any volunteership, what you gained out of it, why you decided to do it, why, what kind of conflict you encountered in this, how you manage that conflict. So questions around all those things. And the positions of responsibility, if you were chairman of some organization, secretary, etc. So your experience with leadership and all those stuffs. Here, how to answer these questions, be it the profile based questions or most importantly, the behavioral kind of questions. Here, follow the STAR approach. What is STAR approach? STAR is situation, task, action, and result. So, what is this? Situation is you tell about the overall context of the story. When you talk about, let's say, your maybe a conflict which you encountered. So, what was the context of that story, when it took place, who was involved, where it occurred? Then, what was the task? What had to get done? And what goals did you have to reach? What obstacles were in the way? Just give me a second. Sorry. So the task. So what was to be done? What goals did you reach? And what were the obstacles in the way? Then actions. What exactly? Now here, action is the very important part. What you exactly did, how you did that, why you did only that, and what was the result out of it. Here, the idea is set the stage, which is the situation and the task quickly, and focus on the story related to what exactly you did and what was the result out of it. This is very relevant, very important approach in resume as well as in the interviews. Second is the policy brief, which you will submit as part of this. Here, you basically, again, the scope can be very broad in these kind of things. I have just tried to somehow showcase what, how can you bucket it and how can you specifically strategically approach it. As part of our mock interviews and all that, once we will ask all these questions, you'll become trained in that. So that will not be a problem. So policy brief related questions. Number one is the understanding of an issue. So basically, when you talk about that specific issue, you should be ensure that you are very passionate about that issue. You read a lot of literatures about that, and then you write that policy, brief. So why you pick that issue only? What are the key factors affecting that issue? The comparison, Indian and global comparison for that. Second is then when you talk about the overall analysis, so it can be something like policy and data insights. So current policies and their effectiveness, evidence supporting your analysis for this. Then there can be some questions related to critical thinking and analysis, like unintended consequences of the recommendations which you are suggesting, the challenges in implementation. Then something around stakeholder perspective, like who are the key stakeholders, what will be the impact of it, what can be the short term and long term implications of it, or basically being very aware about national and international happenings around that area, about the, let's say, the journey so far, and everything related to something like GK around it. So being very good with that, and that all that comes only when you are really passionate about it. So if you are really good with it, you can expect that you'll be able to trump in the interviews. Then third part, the focus can be very little on this, but be prepared with this part also. The academic related questions, which include, let's say, parliamentary procedures and constitution, let's say, key roles and responsibilities of MP, comparison of Lok Sabha versus Rajya Sabha, legislative process, budget session versus other session. So, let's say if you are a UPSC aspirant, then maybe revising Lakshmikant is the solution. If you are not a UPSC aspirant, maybe you can, go through 11th, 12th class kind of, Indian polity book, or you can Google, you can go through Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha website. So whatever suits you, suits well. Then the second part is something around policy, politics, and governance. So it can be, let's say, features of various debatable policies. So being very aware of what are the various hot policies nowadays, what are the implications, etc. Being aware of having the basic general knowledge about the policy space, name of various CMs. Sometimes they ask, say, tell name of 5 CMs, or who is the CM of your state or some other state where the elections happened very recently. So something around it. Cabinet ministers, opposition leaders, major opposition leaders name. Obviously, they don't expect you to be a dictionary or ChatGPT. How can MPs address regional versus national interest? So there can be some questions which are, say, opinion based. There can be some questions which are directly fact based. Here, very important. These are very important, ethical and social kind of questions. So let's say, how would you handle a situation where your opinion on a policy issue differs from that of your MP? Such kind of questions are very often asked. If your MP rejects your research or recommendation, how would you address the situation constructively? Or let's say MP have a demanding schedule and high expectations. So how would you ensure timely delivery of your work under pressure? Because let's say here you work from maybe 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And when they, MPs are in the session from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., they either allocate you the work before this or maybe after this. So how you manage all that can also be asked. Ethical conflict with the MP, such kind of question, because you may come across all these dilemmas. So such kind of questions are asked. Then there can be something around with general awareness and current affairs. So let's say your opinion on various issues, or let's say impact of various global actions like US elections, war on India, etc. Here, what is important here is, let's say when you talk about these kind of things. So how would you handle a situation where your opinion on issue differs from that of the MP? Our, Bollywood perception of MPs is, say, they are idiots, they do not know a lot of things, and they have big egos and all this stuff, they do not understand. But that is not the case. I have worked as strategic advisor to many politicians of the country. They are very smart people. They understand how their electorate behave. what people want them, what kind of image they have, for the people, among the people. So the idea is, when you are in conflict with them, conflicts are bound to happen. They can always happen, and it's completely fine to have all those conflicts. What is important is what kind of evidence and compelling arguments you provide behind them, so that you can convince them. The idea is to achieve win-win, right? You also want to provide a suggestion which is beneficial for them and for the larger party and for the larger nation, and they also want similar kind of objectives most of the time. So sometimes we fail in convincing them, providing strong arguments behind them. As an example, it happened with me. I was consulting one of the politician, an MP candidate. He was a former bureaucrat, and he also worked as an investment banker, so high profile candidate in that sense, and very educated as well. When one of my junior approached him and provided all that strategy, he said, whatever you are doing, I did all these things 30 years back. So don't teach me. This is bullshit. Now here comes your ability to convince them. Then I reached out to him, and then we have detailed discussion. After that, he agreed that maybe we may agree or disagree on few things, but we both understand the numbers, we both understand the data, and when data is saying something, then we obviously have to agree on that. So sometimes we fail on convincing them. So here your answers should also be aligned with these kind of things. It should not be lad jayenge MP se. That is not the idea behind it. And as part of our program, we will certainly cover all these things. As part of our mock interviews, we will cover. Don't. Finally, if you have prepared for civil services, so there can be questions about, let's say, why you don't want to give one more attempt, or there can be some questions around, let's say, cultural challenges. So let's say, why not one more attempt, or why not other government examinations? Why only this fellowship, etc. Some cultural related questions, which can be, let's say, will you be able to work under people who are younger to you, or let's say, who are younger, will you be able to work with people who are much younger to you, or let's say you are transitioning from the solo UPSC preparation to the teamwork in corporate or in this organization, how will you be able to manage all that? So ensuring that you are able to showcase your unique strength and perspectives, you are able to showcase the parallels between, let's say, maybe UPSC preparation and teamwork. There also you were, you coordinated with a lot of candidates and together you prepared for this examination. You can always showcase your enthusiasm for the role and always discuss, despite of having all these disadvantages, I'm so passionate about these things, this work, that all that takes a backseat. So it's about how you put across your story, but be prepared with all these questions is important. Now, why not one more attempt on all these things? So be genuine, build a coherent story. In BCG 2x2 matrix, talk about the risk and maybe reward. So if you give one more attempt, what will be the, over time, the reward is decreasing, but the risk is increasing a lot. So I have decided not to take one more attempt and, maybe do something on time basis. Ensure that you do not give any signal about effort diversification or exit. Maybe I want to give one more attempt. My focus is on that only. I just want to do this fellowship on a side. So never say that. When you are applying for any opportunity, that opportunity is the primary goal, at least for now. Then the skills or learnings which you gain from the preparation. So, what are those transferable skills? What is the relevance? How are you different? All those questions around that. So be prepared with your hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills can be, let's say, expertise in diverse subjects and ability to interlink them in a holistic manner. The soft skills, let's say, communication skills, analytical thinking, critical thinking, time management. Ensure that you do not just say about all these things, be ready with the applications and the examples, and especially to tackle these kind of things, because a lot of candidates face challenges. We at Rebounce have this applied public policy lab program, which is a project based upskilling program where you build a project related to public policy. It's a mini consulting kind of project. You learn the right market relevant skills, implement them, write a consulting white paper on that. This gives a teeth to everything. When you showcase, talk about, let's say, your critical thinking, analytical thinking, when you implemented all of it in that, you can always go back and talk about that paper. So in case you are interested in this, you can certainly explore this. Currently there are no applications, so maybe once we will launch our next cohort, you can explore the program. But it's a fantastic program. A lot of candidates have benefited out of it, and you can find a lot of testimonials even on our YouTube channel about this. So questions can be, why transition to public policy roles? Why only this sector? So showcase your alignment, your interest, your enthusiasm, and how can you meaningfully contribute to organizations? goals, and specifically discuss your passion goals. So all those things. Finally, if you want to get into this fellowship or any other fellowship in the market or any full-time opportunities, these are the 7 things which you should, 6 things you should be careful about. Having the right skills, maybe build some projects and do all those stuff. Having a good resume and cover letter, expertise in cracking corporate interviews, being interview ready, effective LinkedIn profile, because nowadays it's important that you have a good LinkedIn profile. Recruiter prefer to check that. Maybe something around corporate referrals, and finally, if you need any, somebody as mentor. So if you need all this support, you can certainly check our market readiness program, where we are providing 6 months of support. But that's all right. All right. So that is where we wrap up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.